Greetings everyone, Joseph James here from SchoolOfTrade.com, and this is your chart of the day. Now, whenever we see important information covered in our live trade room, I like to bring it up with you guys here in some important videos. And today in the live trade room, we were watching the dollar index, the DX symbol, right? Symbol DX. These are the dollar index futures. Now, guys, we don't actually trade the dollar index futures because it's a little bit too low volume for us, but we use it very effectively as a correlation tool with things that are tied to the dollar. So, of course, the euro, the pound, right, have, of course, correlation to the dollar as well, gold and crude, okay, certain things like that. We're going to focus on the relationship between the dollar index and the gold and crude. Now, guys, this is a snapshot, as you can see here. This is a snapshot of the dollar index all the way to the right side of your monitor. And then, of course, you've got your trade room fast and your trade room slow time frame here, guys, on the left side. All right, so on the right side here, right, this is where we have our dollar index. Right, there's our dollar index chart. And then we're watching the fast time frame here. And we're going to show you guys how we use these two to compare and contrast together. Before we do that, though, let's take a look at real quick, right, what to look for. Now, when it comes to the correlation, it's a negative correlation between the dollar index, crude, and gold. So if the dollar index, if the DX is rising, crude and gold will fall. Right? If the DX falls, crude and gold will typically rise. Now, how do we use it? Because people are always saying, well, yeah, Joe, we know this, right? This is nothing new. There's correlations all over the place. But guys, beware of how to use correlations, right? Correlations are not going to tell me how to get in and how to get out. Right? Correlations are not going to make us money. What makes us money are the patterns we use. But the correlations will act as good filters. So beware when we see sideways choppy DX price action. And we'll show you guys what I talk about here in a second. But basically, we're looking for when the dollar index begins to strong trend up or strong trend down, that's when we should see the best opportunities on gold and crude. And we saw that today, guys, on the dollar index in the live trade room today. So again, we want to be careful trading gold and crude around times when the dollar index is very choppy, right? Sideways choppy markets. And we look for strong trends up or down in the DX to take trades in basically any direction on the gold and the crude. Let's keep moving. Now, here's what happened today. When we opened up our charts this morning, the dollar index had a strong trend up, right? Nice strong trend up. Let's take a look at that real quick. Right, here's the dollar index, guys, in the right-hand corner here. And you can see we have this very strong trend up, right? We get this very strong trend up here. So while the DX is trending up, we also see, of course, the gold, right, or the crude moving down. Right? So once again, let's back up. Dollar index trending up, right? Dollar index trending up. As you can see, dollar index trending up over here on the right side. And we see the crude oil trending down. Now, once we have the dollar index trending up and the crude oil trending down, right? That's the perfect correlation. That's what we're looking for. Let's keep moving. Now, we were selling gold and crude while the dollar index was trending up. We then noticed that the DX began to go sideways, right? So the DX begins to go sideways. And where was that? Right back up in my DX chart. Okay, so I zoom in here real quick, and you can see, guys, we got the dollar index here, right, starts to become very choppy. We no longer see the new higher highs, right? We no longer see this strong trending up. And then if you follow me over, look what happens, right? The gold and crude actually followed suit, right? They also became very choppy. So once again, dollar index trending up, we were watching the crude trend down, and we were selling on the way down. But then what happened is we then began to see the dollar index begin to go sideways, and then we also had to avoid trades on the crude and the gold because there wasn't any new trends. All right, I want to make sure you guys saw this because this is the way in which we use these correlations. Right? Choppy dollar and choppy gold are going to go hand in hand. So how did we trade this morning? We had to wait for the return to its trend and then go back to trading again. Remember, we don't trade the DX itself, right, because the volume isn't high enough. Okay, so what we'll do is we wait for a strong trend in the dollar index that will give us a whole lot more confidence in our trades on gold and crude. So avoid trades on gold and crude when you see the dollar index nice and sideways, right, all choppy like that. And then we're going to look for trades when we start seeing the dollar index trending again. All right, and it's as easy as, guys, using a very simple indicator, such as a moving average, or in this case, I'm using an LRC, And you can begin to see when this dollar index begins to go sideways, we also will see the crude oil go sideways. And we know that when the DX is sideways, very indecisive, that means the crude will also tend to be very indecisive. Now, one more thing, because now we can also throw the pace of a tape indicator in here. Now look in the lower left-hand corner here on my pace of a tape. Notice also at the exact same time, we had very slow pace of a tape. So remember we talked about, guys, we use correlations as a filter. Right? We're not going to use correlations as ways of getting into a trade or out of a trade. So watching the dollar index isn't going to give me trading opportunities. It's going to give me a filter. So I look at the dollar index, it begins to go sideways. I then see I have red pace of a tape. Now that red pace of a tape means people are taking a breather from the market, right? Things are slowing down, not moving as fast. Now, we always say, whenever we see that red pace of a tape like that, it's usually happening on some sort of reversal. So we would then wait next to see what's going to happen with the next potential pattern. While the dollar index is sideways and red pace of a tape, we probably want to sit on our hands on gold and crude and wait for the dollar index to, of course, begin to move again and then see our yellow pace of a tape come back. And as you can see, it did that, right? We actually got the yellow pace of a tape. We saw, of course, the dollar index begin to start rising again, and hopefully we get a chance to take another trade on crude. Once again, correlations are not going to show us where to get in or how to get in. What they're going to do is they're going to give us They're going to give us basically the filters we need to know when to trade and when not to trade. So what do we learn today by looking at the dollar index? We learn that correlations can be very powerful, but they don't tell us how and where to get into a trade. We use our patterns for entries, guys, right? The correlations are not going to make us money. What will make me money is the patterns that I use after digesting or, basically looking at the correlation. So we look for correlations as a filter to avoid a market or a specific trade. For example, on the dollar index, if it's choppy, so will the gold and the crude, so we might want to be aware. If the dollar index is rising like it was this morning, we look for breaker patterns short. Right? So you always ask, well, Joe, if we do have the correlation, how do I use it to trade with? If the dollar index is rising, now we're looking for breaker pattern short or a two-step pattern short. But if the dollar is rising, we're looking for the short side. And that's how we're using these correlations to help us earn profits every day in the market. Let's recap. Make sure you guys come out and join us tomorrow morning, 7:45 Eastern Time, and we'll show you guys how we use the dollar index in correlation with things like gold and crude, the euro, the pound. And of course, tomorrow's a Thursday, so we'll do a webinar on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11:30 Eastern Time. We want to remind you guys that the beginner's course always has our setup rules and our entry patterns. The beginner's course will give you guys all the information you guys need to know about how to get started with us in the live trade room. And for more information on how to join as lifetime members, just drop us an email, sales@schooloftrade.com. My name is Joseph James. Hope the chart of the day has helped. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. We'll keep watching gold and crude and that correlation between the dollar index as usual. Have a great day. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye-bye for now.